Hey, Joe, what can you do to get AJ Green more involved in the offense?
You know, I'm gonna throw the ball to where the defense dictates me to throw it. AJ is a great player, and I'm going to continue to try to get him the ball. And we need to get him going. He's a big part of this offense, and we just have to get it going. We're going to need some better chemistry. We do.
Have you guys kind of talked on the side about it, or worked after or before practice to kind of get your chemistry better?
Yeah, we put a lot of work in together. We're here, 14, 15 hours a day, so we're putting the work in to get things right.
Joe, when you think about playing a team like Baltimore, they're probably a little bit better at putting pressure on quarterbacks. Did that help you adjust your internal clock in terms of knowing that you have to get rid of the ball a little bit quicker?
Yeah, my eyes weren't great on Sunday. It's an understatement. I didn't play very well. We didn't play very well as an offense, but we're not panicking around here. This is a long season, and we've been playing pretty well on offense the last 3 weeks. So we're not going to let 1 week of poor play determine the rest of the season. We're going to come back to work every day and continue to get better, and we're excited to play the rest of the year.
How much can you and how much did you learn when you popped on that film from Sunday against Baltimore?
I learn a lot every week from the film. I'm not going to give you guys any specifics, but there's a lot to learn every single week, and that was a big learning experience for me, for us as a team, and as an organization. The mindset that we had after the game, I thought was positive. Nobody was panicking. Obviously, we were frustrated with our play, but there was nobody hanging their heads or throwing in the towel. We were ready to get back to work.
Joe, you played against the Ravens, number one in the NFL in points allowed now after last week's game. The team you're playing this week, the Colts, are number 2. But they have a different style of defense. Obviously, when you watch the Colts, what do you see off of tape? What sticks out to you?
They present a much different challenge. They're 1, 2, or 3 in every major statistic defensive category, and they play 3 or 4 coverages, and they do it really, really well. They're very well coached, and all of their guys play really hard. That's what jumps out on film. They don't put guys in there that, aren't going to play hard. So we're going to have to match their intensity.
Joe, you talked about your relationship with the Mannings back at the Combine. How important has that been to your development, and what's that been like with Archie and Peyton now that you've kind of went through the season?
That family is a great family. Archie texts me every week, win or lose. Last week he texted me head up. He told me that Eli, his rookie year, played the Ravens, and he had a 0.00 QBR. So Archie texts me every week, and that means a lot to not only me but my family as well.
Peyton said he talked to you for like an hour, I think, before you got into the season. How beneficial was that for you to pick his brain and kind of learn some things of how his rookie year went and all of that?
Yeah, it was great. I have a couple pages of notes from that conversation, and I go back and visit those every now and then. But I think it's refreshing for me and great for me to have a guy like Peyton and some other veteran quarterbacks that played a long time or in the Hall of Fame. Guys like Kurt Warner, he texts me every week as well. Those guys want to help, and you'd be dumb not to take advantage of those opportunities.
Obviously, the advice they give is more broad-based. It's not game plan specific or anything else. They're just talking about mindset, approach, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, obviously they don't know, they don't know the offense, and they don't know the game plan every week, but they know football and they know quarterbacks. And so that's, like you said, the broad aspects of playing quarterback.
You give your impressions, Joe, of Phillip Rivers of the Colts, future Hall of Famer?
I don't watch any Colts offensive film, but obviously he's one of the best to ever do it. He's been playing a long time, and I hope to have as good of a career as he has.
What's the best piece of advice you've gotten from any of these, retired veteran quarterbacks that are still, highly interested in the game and highly interested in quarterback play? What's the best piece of advice, or maybe even more from anybody?
Oh, I don't know. You get a lot, and it's a tough question because you get a lot of different tidbits from a lot of different people. But they've all been super helpful, and I've taken some and brushed some off. That's what happens when you get advice. Some you take to heart and some you don't, but you listen to all of it.
Joe, you were at the Manning Pass Academy before that 2019 year where you popped off at LSU. I mean, how important was that for your confidence to go in there and throw against some of those guys and do as well as you did?
No, I don't know. That was more of a kind of a fun little camp, fun little trip for us. You got to hang out with, all the guys from across the country. It was more of a social event than a camp to get better. And it was fun hanging out with the kids as well.
You mentioned, Joe, that the Colts defense is near the top in just about every important category. One is interceptions, 9 picks already. Are they getting those in just about every way that you can?
Yeah, I mean, they do a great job of understanding their defense and understanding the weaknesses of their defense. So, every coverage has a weakness, and it's usually, finding the one-on-one and utilizing that leverage to find grass in the field. And each individual player does a great job of understanding the weakness of the defense and changing their leverage and changing, how they play individual coverage based off of each collective coverage. An example of that was, the Ravens last week. I threw a post over the top and they were playing quarters coverage, and that's what you want to do against quarters. But the corner played inside leverage and on top because he knew that the weakness of that defense was throwing the post over the top. So, great defenses do that.
So 2 more minutes with Joe, guys.
Joe, does your journey that you've taken, it wasn't all peaches and cream for you. You had some adversity you faced during your journey to the National Football League. All those experiences that you've endured, does it help you get through something like what happened last week?
Yeah, but I think everyone's overreacting a little bit right now. We just got off of 3 straight weeks of 300 yards passing. We've been moving the ball up and down the field, and we had a bad game. That's going to happen in the NFL, but you have a short memory as an offense and as a quarterback, and you're going to go out there and execute the next week.
Joe, did you
you talked previously about how you guys have meetings on Saturday nights about the plays you like with Zach and Brian. Do you have sit downs with a guy like AJ and talk through plays that you guys like for each other during the week? And what have those been like?
It's not a formal setting, but throughout the week, we'll come up to each other and talk about certain routes on certain plays against certain coverages, how each of us expects it to be run and expects the ball to be. So, it's just little informal conversations throughout the week that, really make or break the offense.
You go into some of the games with some of those plays, particularly for a guy like AJ, in the back of your mind and thinking that, okay, this is one where obviously your reads, but where you're really trying to get him involved.
Say that first part. You were cutting out a little bit at the beginning.
Oh, sorry. I said you go into games knowing that there's some of those plays that you're specifically going to be looking for AJ. I mean, your reads, but are there some where you're like, this is one where I really want to make sure I get AJ involved?
Yeah, you game plan plays to get certain guys involved against different coverages and utilize matchups. So there are definitely those plays, yes.
One last question for Joe. Go ahead.
The lack of chemistry, is that something you chalk up to not seeing these guys until the end of July?
I don't know. It's a work in progress, and we're going to get it right.